Hi, I'm Steve Kletzmayr from Synergil IT. I'm here today with Ben Swanson, Senior Director Partner Sales of Ring Central. Hi, Ben.
G'day, Steve. Nice to be here. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. So for the 10-minute session today, we're going to cover, the essentials around how we bring synergy and agility to not just the need to work, but how we want to work. And that's fundamentally around the future of meetings tomorrow. And it's not just about the innovation of voice and video that's important. I guess today I want to draw on some ideas around what are some of the improved capabilities in collaboration and that ability to integrate data and capture and workflow within the organization as knowledge workers. So effectively, when we talk business, it's around effectiveness and efficiency, but I think there's a bit more to it we want to draw on today. So it's time for change. I guess there's currently a big gap between communication platforms we're all trying to use in the pandemic, and yet we've got all these new applications with fantastic capabilities on productivity and cost effectiveness, but the reality is we're running in silos. Is that good? Is the big question, because today knowledge workers, whether they're locally based, regionally based, or around the world, they basically need to look at the concept of working everywhere, anywhere, on any device, anyhow they want to do it. But that collaboration is being the key element we need to try and solve. So we're looking at this kind of constant chatter in our day-to-day workings as we work remotely. How effective is that? And what's inhibiting us to move forward? So the workforce has been shifting already to remote working for years. In fact, the occasional worker from home, it's been up from like 39% in 2012. So within that 8-year period, things have evolved. And of course, in looking at a survey in 2019, at least once a day, people were working from home. And in fact, as you look at the jobs, applicants are choosing also to say, well, wouldn't I prefer to take that job where I can have a chance to mix up my professional and life in and out of the office? So the world's changing. And if we look at the reality of today in a pandemic types of situation, not only are there costs involved and the impact on GDP, but how are we as knowledge workers going to work together in the future effectively? Because the reality is our leaders are not necessarily setting the right strategic priorities to tackle that ability to work effectively remotely. Not only that, but 30% of those leaders feel that those organizations are prepared to rise. So there's a bit of a conundrum. So how will this help the workforce moving forward? So Ben, is this business as usual? What's your view on this?
Oh, look, it's fair to say we're seeing some very unprecedented times happening here, not only in our marketplace, but globally. What is, I guess, very interesting is how quickly we have adapted to this new world. We've seen before this great change within our Australian landscape. So with the rollouts of great infrastructure like the NBN, it gives not only business, but also employees, educators, all sorts of facilities now the access to cheaper, faster internet. With the access of faster, cheaper internet, the older technologies can not only be replaced much quicker, but it also rises the freeware messaging type apps and the rise of video applications that we're using. Because when we're running on a faster service like we are today across Australia and beyond, it actually allows us to communicate quicker and then embrace more technologies, and primarily cloud technologies. And as we build that out beyond a technology realm, we're actually starting to see organizations have to shift really quickly. And what I mean by that shift, it's not only around people, process, and place, it's actually getting into like the HR capabilities. Now, what was I thinking in the past where I built a business? I had to make sure I had an address. I needed some real estate. I needed some desks. I wanted a fax machine. I needed a phone number. And all of these things started, the bricks and mortar approach started to constitute a business. But what we've proved right now is, in actual fact, we're so far ahead of the game compared to the rest of the world in Australia. And when I've started surveying so many of the potential customers on this type of technology, I always ask this question: was your business prepared? And more than 90% of their business was prepared for some form of remote working. But, you know, and disaster recovery stories in the past were, well, I need to move from one site to another. Again, this doesn't work in the new world. So what do? Well, we embrace the 100% working from home. And as you just flashed up here, there's some additional considerations where you can start weaving in your new strategies around how you're going to run your business, run your university, run your training curriculum. You know, the first thing that I'm going to say and what I've seen immediately is all the strategies in the business, not only around spend, but also around people and location and technology, but also HR policies, has got to be reprioritized for working remotely day one. You know, my personal condition, I'll say, is not predicting the outcome. I'm in a 3-bedroom apartment with 2 kids, which means that when I work in the day from home, I'm actually sharing the same workspace with my wife and my kids when they're not at school. So, you know, that's not ideal. If I knew I was coming, hey, I probably would have considered something different. But it's what we've got, right? So even at a personal level, as well as at a workplace. But then, you know, naturally we always want to keep up communication. We want to make sure we understand each individual's persona. And what I mean by that is what works for one person doesn't work for everyone. So there's a lot of flexibility in not only changing policy, but even down to the way that we manage people, the mindset and the tools that we have no longer work, like standing over somebody and saying, what are you doing? We don't have that governance anymore. It's really quite interesting, don't you agree?
Look, I agree. And in fact, I'd love to have 30 minutes to an hour to continue the conversation with you on those 4 key areas. But how about we just maybe look at one of them? Because I think we've reached a point of experience in this current new world where some of these criteria are untenable. So maybe we could focus on one of those.
Yeah, look, absolutely. So as we, you know, move past the need for reprioritizing around working, we look instantly at, you know, what's the connectivity? You know, the one thing that I knew as soon as this happened is, you know, I want the best internet in my building. I share, as I said, the apartment. You know, do I want to get the entry level service or do I want to get the best? Well, a small incremental price difference of me to be able to stream not only the 3 Netflix in the kids' room and the multiple services, but also then have this type of call we're having today. Security is a big concern. Same way you lock up your front door. How do you lock up your PC when you're sharing it to the world? Same with the technology when you're doing your voice, your video, your messaging, your storage is online. These things are the highest consideration, making sure you have the right physical space and the equipment in them, and then the technology which sits underneath it and the policies that support around it. And what happens is as we get all these together now, well, we're actually seeing that so many technologies are being adopted by different people, even within the same workforce. The use of freeware apps, where there's been lots of great 90-day trials, it means that there's potentially an application overload when we look at the individual worker. And so what we're finding is that that individual worker is becoming very frustrated as we move to the next slide. You'll see that actually up to 70% of workers are navigating through 6+ applications a day. 6+ applications a day is really, really big. And what does that mean?
12.
Oh, you reckon you're doing 12? There you go. You know, and the great example is, what are we meeting on today? Is it Zoom? Is it Microsoft? Is it RingCentral? Is it WebEx? And I can go on and on and on. So yeah, there's a really great opportunity here to overcome this.
So I think you raise a really, really good point, that application overload, because certainly not only am I multitasking, I'm multi-application on all my devices. So it's not just on one device. I've got multiple devices, multiple apps, multitasking, and I've got multiple people I'm interacting with. So how do we overcome that? Have you got an example maybe?
Yeah, look, the best way I can look at this is, you know, there's a clear winner and some unsung heroes in the pandemic, that we have cloud communications and infrastructure like NBN. When we add these two together, when you've got one cloud provider, well, it works in silos, but the moment when your business runs multiple cloud services within your team, there's a natural ecosystem for all of them to work together. Here's one example, which is our application gallery with over 300 applications that will work with anything that you want in your particular portfolio. You buy a Zapier, or you buy a Microsoft, or you acquire a Salesforce. These applications naturally fit in. And as we move to the next slide, you'll see that one of the key aspects of this is Microsoft for Australia. A lot of companies out there have embraced Outlook and Exchange and then moved it to the cloud with Office 365. Their business might be running Dynamics in the contact centers, customer service. But Microsoft Teams is the forefront of how we message today with so many organizations. And as we support all of these environments as a native integration, it's a single click to make happen. It's actually allowing for businesses to use one single unified application that makes sense for that worker. What works for knowledge workers in particular would be like maybe 80% of the business, but you can say a receptionist needs a different set of tools, but give them one. But while we say we want to work from one application, what's really important is we've got to support all devices. You touched on this just before. How easy do you move from your mobile to your laptop, to your tablet, to your TV, if we extend to a Netflix, right? And you want to take that same experience on the road when we're able to fly again. Please, can we fly again? But yes, this is a very important aspect.
So when you link that need to I guess, have the collaboration, not just in the application layer, but on the device layer, and that wherever we are fluidly, we're more effective to collaborate within teams and within meetings per se. So the future of the meeting really is the time to change now, right? So I guess a quick call to action would be, contact me to discuss further possibilities of what this is about. And we'd love to be able to, quickly introduce you, Ben, and the team from Ring Central. There's two things. One is a very quick video now to finish up on, but more importantly, there is also that special trial offer, Ben, that we're offering for the team. Do you want to just quickly, 2 seconds publicity of
Absolutely.
what you
Look, the elevator message on this is any organiser out there which is suffering or needing some technology support around COVID-19, public sector, not-for-profit, education, hospitals, we are here to help. We'll give you access to a full service for up to 3 months, and then you can evaluate the technology. Most importantly, get through this panic mode and make sure that you can absolutely support your stakeholders, your employees, and your potential customers out there.
So Ben, before I flick to the video for the closing video, I just want to thank you very much for your time. You've given us some great insights into where we are, but more importantly, where we can be today. And I really look forward to continuing that collaboration with Ring Central and the ongoing conversations we're going to have around this symposium with the delegates of the symposium. So thank you very much for your time, Ben.
Thanks, Steve. Pleasure to be here.
Great. Cheers. Thank you.